it without much fear of repercussion about what you write. You're probably lucky enough, for example, to live in a country where you can criticise your leaders on Twitter and not feel worried. Not so, though, in Kuwait, where in a move critics say is an obvious crackdown on the opposition. A woman has been sentenced earlier this week, in fact, to 11 years in prison for insulting the Emir. It comes as the country's opposition is hoping a ruling due this Sunday by the country's constitutional court could mean the forcing of new elections in the country. Nathalie, Gillet and Mark Thompson have this report.
Sarah's mother watches on nervously. Her daughter is being interviewed by a TV channel close to the opposition coalition. Later, Sarah will find out whether she will be punished for tweets deemed insulting to the Emir.
There's a group of officers somewhere in the country charged with looking through the internet and analysing what we say. They decided, for instance, that Sarah's tweets refer to the Emir. She wrote, "You can change a leader, but you cannot change the people." These kinds of words are considered a crime here in Kuwait.
Kissing her daughter goodbye, Mrs. Aldreas knows she might face the same fate as 5 other young people recently jailed for the same offence. Sarah's lawyer advises her not to enter the courthouse. Hours later, she receives her sentence. 20 months on bail, pending an appeal. It's relatively light. Kuwaiti citizens can get up to 5 years in prison for criticising the Emir in public. In recent months, over 400 such cases have been filed.
In Kuwait, we're known as a political society. We like to talk about politics. Many of us are politically active to to different levels. But in the past, especially in the past 2-3 years, we've been facing a lot of corruption to an extent that people can no longer sit quiet. We were living a fairy tale of democracy in Kuwait. Now in Kuwait we have a famous opposition saying, which is directed to the Emir, which says, "We will not allow you, لن نسمح لك." And they accuse me of saying this word.
The slogan, a favourite among opposition protesters, was said by this man, a former member of parliament, Muslim al-Barak, during a speech in October last year. He criticised the Emir's policies and his intentions of amending the electoral law in his favour.
The Kuwaiti Penal Code, written in 1970, contains a very vague article, which is now being used to sue people for so-called insults to the Emir. In no way does this article reflect the spirit of our constitution. We took our movement to the streets and will keep on doing so to push for political reforms. We want a real constitutional monarchy which respects those who are elected in parliament. We believe in our constitution, but them, they only believe in personal power.
Al-Barak's 5-year prison sentence was suspended on appeal. He now faces a retrial and a dozen other similar charges. At night, small groups gather in front of the courthouse. For the Kuwaitis gathered here, public debates are a vital part of maintaining the right to free speech, which they believe is now in jeopardy.
Nathalie Gillet there reporting from Kuwait. Now it's time for today's sport, and Wimbledon is upon us, of course. It's looking pretty good for Roger Federer. He's